No words can capture the wholeness of such a life as Iggy's. He was bright, loved, feral, and determined. Life is too big and imperfect and raw to be summed up in such things as words, and so I won't be too long here. His death, though, leaves us all reeling, rooted in the absence of him, and it can be no other way in this one wild life we get to live, love, and celebrate. Even gathering here tonight in our grief, in our torn love and being, we rebel, refusing to submit to a culture that sanctions a numbness so deep it's destroying our living world and those that champion it. Iggy felt both love and grief enormously. It infused him, every ounce of his being. It alchemized him and informed his actions on behalf of life, no matter where he was, whether the jungles of Latin America, behind a camera, or on the streets, right near where we're standing now. Here and now, this grief we share also becomes an act of protest, an act of devotion and an act of love for the living world Iggy loved so deeply and so ferociously. May our tears praise his life. May they also sing of the wild nature Iggy fought for with such dedication. This is just the beginning of our journey of grief. This is just a moment. Tonight's journey will take us from here to Trafalgar Square, where we will listen to the words his mother wrote to us all. We will listen to the words of those that loved him, and there will be song. We will go from there then onwards to another spot and continue the grief and the celebration. I've got a poem which unfortunately isn't mine, but which I think sums up very brightly what Fox was all about. Listen, says Fox. It is music to run over the hills, to lick dew from the leaves, to nose along the edges of ponds, to smell the fat ducks in their bright feathers, but far out, safe in their rafts of sleep. It is like music to visit the orchard, to find the voles sucking the sweet of the apple, or the rabbit with his fast beating heart. Death itself is music. Nobody has ever come close to writing it down, awake or in a dream. It cannot be told. It is flesh and bones, changing shape and with good cause. Mercy is a little child beside such an invention. It is music to wander the black back roads outside of town, no one awake or wondering if anything miraculous is ever going to happen. Totally dumb to the fact of every moment's miracle. Don't think I haven't peeked into windows. I see you in all your seasons, making love, arguing, talking about God as if he were an idea, instead of the grass, instead of the stars. The rabbit caught in one good teeth-whacking hit and brought home to the den. What I am, and I know it, is responsible, joyful, thankful, and I would not give my life for 1,000 of yours. For me, that sums up Iggy perfectly. I know that he wouldn't want any of what he called woo to be here tonight. So I'm not going to give you any woo. I will just say this, that when we die, I don't think we go anywhere, because we are part of everything that is. From the spiral arm of our galaxy to a stale drop of beer in a beer can by the side of the road, to jaguar, to the forest, to frog, to pond, to puddle. We are all life, and we are all still rebelling on behalf of it. Thank you. I know this is hard. I know what we bear is hard. Reach out, feel our heartbeats, reach out for touch in these moments, and support and love. If the Samba Band, please, could play us onto Trafalgar Square, we would be very much obliged. Iggy's life was about dance, and so we will dance to Trafalgar Square, and our grief will take over from there. Thank you.
This land is ours. This land is all that we have for sure. This land is ours. This land is all that we have for sure.
Thank you so much, the Samba Band. And it's good to be back in Trafalgar Square! Thank you for bearing with us on this journey of grief. I would like to ask Jessica and the rest of the speakers to step forward, please.
We're just about to read a letter which was written by Liz Jensen, who is Iggy's mum, on the plane going to South Africa. I got a text in the middle of the night which said, "My heart is breaking." And she was already, as I say, on the plane to South Africa. She's there with her ex-husband Michel, Iggy's father, and his brother Matty. We're lucky enough to have some members of the family here. A couple of days ago, Liz visited the site where Iggy died. It's a beautiful green open place with 3 trees. While she was there, someone let her see a film that had been taken moments before Iggy's death. He was running and singing. You can hear Iggy's voice, the loudest. You see only just a few frames of him, but it was a great consolation to the family that he had been so happy in the moments before what happened. There's an autopsy, they're working out what happened. It looks as if it was a heart failure. It's clear that Iggy has been taken from us too young, but I was lucky enough to work alongside him in the first rebellion. He was half my age and he was running a whole department, the social media department of the fastest growing organisation about climate and the ecological emergency, and he was carrying it on his 23-year-old shoulders. When he wasn't doing social media, he was filming. When he wasn't doing that, he was teaching non-violent direct action. He was also hanging out in hammocks by the side of protests. I remember thinking, Iggy is Extinction Rebellion. Excuse me, you can't be glamorous at my age because you can't read with your glasses. I feel honoured to have known Iggy, and this is the letter that Liz wrote on the plane. It's going to be read by his family and friends. I'm going to read the first section, and those people will introduce themselves briefly and their relationship to Iggy. Rafe, you were a force of nature, and now you are one with that force. You are the water, the chlorophyll. You are the moss on the stone. You are a bird's feather. You are a wolf's paw print, an oak, a praying mantis, a stingray, a garden squirrel. You are the sky and the sea and the rainforest and the mountains and the marshes and the deserts and all of the landscapes that you ever knew and loved. You didn't believe in heaven because you knew that heaven was here on earth. You saw it clearly and you helped others to see it.
Thank you all for being here, and it's amazing to see how many people he's been able to gather and inspire with his commitment. I'm Anna. I'm Rafi's cousin. Rafi, I call him Rafi. You knew sadness and grief are part of the human cycle and that nobody is immune. You knew Homo sapiens are amazing, inventive and joyful, as well as selfish and destructive. You knew that we must hold fast to our natural urge to do the right thing if our civilization is to remain decent and a world worth living in. In you, we will forever see the kindness of strangers, the comradeship of people with a common cause, the passion of our fellow activists. You are with us now, just as you are with all of those honoured to have a place in that big, generous heart of yours. A heart that failed far too soon. We are also grateful for your spirit and your life. Your father and I are proud that we met and created two remarkable lives in you and your brother. And that between us all, family, friends, colleagues, fellow activists, we played a part in contributing to the extraordinary young man you are. Yes, are. Who will ever be ready for the past tense when your life was all about now and the future, about saving that future for the planet?
Thanks, Anna. I'm Tom, Rafi's uncle. Can you hear me? Yeah, I'm Tom, Rafi's uncle. As a son, brother, cousin, nephew, boyfriend, friend, crazy dancer, magpie, award-winning child actor, wildlife biologist, activist, cool dude, maker of kick-ass jewellery and flapjacks, you taught us all so much. And what you taught us will take on its own life inside us. As the great writer Octavia Butler wrote, everything you touch, you change. And everything you change, changes you. You touched the world, it changed you, and you changed us. Your first and most beloved video as a 2-year-old was one we called Raf's Giant Squid Video, a documentary about architeusis, narrated by David Attenborough. Whenever you were upset, we'd calm you down by sitting you on the sofa with the scary giant squid video. You watched it 1,000 times, mesmerized by those monsters of the deep. They spoke to you from the youngest age. You understood that we are nature and nature is us. When you were 8 or 9, you told me about a dream you'd had. You dreamed you had an incurable disease and had to break the news to me and your father. We were out of our minds with shock and grief, but in your dream you comforted us and told us it was okay, it didn't hurt, we mustn't be sad. Your dream wasn't about you, it was all about trying to bring us solace. We need your solace now, all of us.
Hi, I'm Amy. I am a snowflake. It is Iggy's affinity group. He was always recruiting, so come talk to us afterwards.
At Extra Snowflakes.
I also want to say I'm speaking on behalf of a friend, Femi, who didn't feel he was able to speak tonight. You loved this unique planet of ours that has given us all so much, and from which we took so much, so carelessly and so selfishly. But we only have one planet, and we had only one you. And by we, I mean all of us. Because Raphael, call him Iggy Fox, call him whatever you called him, he didn't just have us as his family. His family was and is global and growing. He threw himself into all he did with the energy of 5 people, sometimes 10, sometimes 27. He appreciated solitude and contemplation, especially in nature, but he also loved risk and drama. They energized him.
Iggy, let us cherish all that you said and did and all that you were. We know you'd want us to comfort each other and to keep peacefully campaigning on behalf of the planet that nurtures and sustains us all. We will carry on your love of life with us into the days, months, and years ahead, both in and out of exile.
I speak on behalf of the Somewhere people, Iggy's community and home. When he died, among his many projects, Iggy was preparing his legal defense for vandalizing the Brazilian embassy in London. He was due to defend himself in court. He'd been effectively charged with the crime of defending the Amazon rainforest, the lungs of this planet. Just think about that for a moment. The lungs of the planet were on fire, and it was considered an illegal act to draw attention to it. In a disgraceful police document, our peaceful movement was portrayed as a breeding ground for terror. Like many climate activists, our son was prepared to go to jail for his belief that we must protect the ecosystems of this planet. He knows right from wrong, so why don't those who govern us? We are citizens, and citizens are powerful. Let us keep up our demands, keep calling them out, keep up the pressure. Let's make them tell the truth, then act accordingly.
I'm Jojo. I'm a close friend of Liz's since childhood, and a massive adorer of Raf, Iggy. I'm writing this from the front line of personal grief, but part of grief is rage, and I intend to hold on to that rage as firmly as I intend to hold on to the memory of that extraordinary comet that lived amongst us for a while. There are so many paths he could have chosen. He could have been anything, but he chose life, the life of this planet and the future generations that will inherit this beautiful planet. This is an indescribable loss. The pain feels too great to bear, a huge, aching void. But think of what Iggy would want. Let's not just mourn him. Let's do more. Let's do what he would say if he were here now. Please, guys, keep on. Keep acting for justice for wildlife, for ecosystems, for indigenous people, for all those already suffering the devastation wrought by a fossil-heated world. Let's celebrate Iggy with love and rage in our hearts, love for him and this planet, rage against the injustices and damage wrought by its leaders, but mostly love. Let's cherish his memory. May the spirit of that amazing, charismatic and vivid young presence live on in all of us and guide us through all that's to come. Following Iggy's beautiful example, let's shape a better future for us all.
Can I invite us all to have a minute silence thinking of Iggy, and then Simon Bramwell will come back and we'll have a song in celebration of Iggy. Thank you. Simon and Blythe.
Thank you very much, good humans. Could I ask Blythe, please, to appear as if from magic? There we go.
Magic.
Thank you very much. And Blythe, would you like to say a few words at all before we first into song?
Yes, I would, yeah.
The relief from the crowd that I'm not singing is quite palpable.
I'm known for writing haunting shit. And when Iggy died, I wanted to write him something, and I thought, that's probably what's going to happen. But then I thought about him, and actually I was in the shower at the time, and what came out was something much more uplifting, and I'm very happy about that, because hopefully as a snowflake we will continue to do many great actions in his honour, and there will be many times where we're sat down glued to things for long periods of time, and hopefully we will sing many songs, and maybe this will be one of them. So that's why it has a little chirpy melody for you now.
Because Fox was his name, courage was his way, and I'll show you now that his superpower was faith that justice can reign. And I'll take his spirit, put it in my limbs for the times when I'm struggling to believe, and he'll be here in our hands holding fast to an earth that is fair and is free. Because Fox is his name, and cunning was his way. I'll show you now that his superpower was always finding a way. And I'll take his nose, put it in my pocket for the times when I'm struggling to get through. And you can use his burrowing paws when a fence towers high over you. Because Fox is his name, dancing was his game, and I'll show you now that his superpower was finding joy amongst the rage. And I'll take his smile, put it in my eyes for the times when I'm struggling to see that you and I can dance on this earth like the humans he fought for us to be. Because Fox is his name, hammocks for his freedom, and I hope that he won't rest for a second unless it's up a lamppost or a tree. And I hope that he doesn't let us rest for a second unless it's up a lamppost or a tree. And I hope that he doesn't let us rest for a second unless it's up a lamppost or a tree.
Talking of superpowers, and I know that Iggy didn't believe or have a set belief around divinity or what he considered as any kind of supernatural thing, but in a strange episode of utter serendipity, you might have heard that the day after that we heard that Fox had passed away, a fox danced into Parliament, up 4 flights of stairs, past all the policemen, and took a shit on the floor. I will pass you over now to April, who will lead us into the next moment. Thank you, April.
Wow. A deep breath. Iggy was part of many mythic moments that we have footstepped, danced, sung and locked ourselves through. And one of the moments that has repeated itself, that has become really mythic for XR, was that moment when we sang The Boat out of Oxford Circus. And I'm kind of thinking that maybe that was just a practice. Because that song that we sang is a mourning song that comes from these lands. It comes from the Shetland Islands. It probably had never been sung by so many voices before, and it almost certainly had never been sung through the streets of London. There was a real sense of indigeneity about singing that song and knowing the love and presence and the calling in that Iggy did to draw our attention to preserving the last places on this planet where indigenous people still live in connection to the land that we were born to a place, the last places on this planet where it's modelled how to weave ourselves back into love with all things living. And that song is one of those songs of indigeneity, born of these lands. And I make a plea to teach you that song and to let it ring out through the streets of London again. To reclaim all this land as sacred land. And I don't mean sacred land that is, I mean that there is only two types, sacred or desecrated. And we've had enough of the desecration. Every footstep should be sacred. And Iggy knew that in every pore of his sacred was loving, was dancing, was singing, was enjoying life to the full. So let's reclaim some of our sacred in this song. Is there a willingness? Yes. Thank you. So the first is just 4 notes. 4 notes first, and it goes, the words are just nahe. Simple as that, nahe. And the first is 4 notes. It goes, nahe, 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 nahe. Great. The second one is 5 notes, and it's nahe, nahe, na, nahe. Great whole thing. Na hey, na hey, na hey, na hey, na, na hey, na, hey, na, hey, na. Wow. It also goes with a heartbeat. We beat our chests in a heartbeat as we sing. And it goes, na hey, na hey, na hey, na hey, na, na hey, na, hey, na, hey, na, na hey.
seen it. But she said he put so much effort into it, put all his heart and soul into it, and then sadly, you know, he couldn't promote it. He didn't have time to promote it before, you know. So she said if you can get people to watch it, and as many people as possible, and so we worked really hard to get it up here on a screen where you can watch it, and just let's roll it. For the wallow!
Dancing in the ruins is something, obviously, that we will be doing in short order. And it feels a great privilege to be able to be here doing this in Parliament Square.
Why I rebel. Science alone is silent. For people to act on science's warnings and apply its solutions, its message needs shouting from the rooftops. Scientists are getting on the streets, refusing to be scribes of the apocalypse.
After 7 years studying, researching, and protecting nature as a wildlife conservationist, I stopped fieldwork and deferred an MSc order to rebel full-time. Because no matter how many surveys I ran, how many turtle nests I protected, how many monkeys I protected, or how many young people I educated about sustainability, the seas kept rising, forests kept burning, plastic kept clogging the beaches, and our data kept showing that wildlife was being decimated.
After joining the hashtag #XRSnowflakes, I realized that as an activist, my voice could be far more influential than it had been as a scientist. On August the 13th, 6 of us were arrested at London's Brazilian embassy for taking non-violent direct action to highlight the ecological and human rights emergency.
We did this as 2,000 women marched on Brasilia to defend their lives and lands 3 days after the Dias de los Fuegos, when thousands of fires were lit to clear the deforested land in the Amazon.
Love it.
I don't want to go to prison, but I'll face whatever I need to. My actions aren't about sacrifice or arrest for the sake of it. Knowing the science, I have no choice but to tell the truth and to stick to my morals in the face of that truth. I won't stand by and watch the world burn.
Right now, the truth is that Latin indigenous people are facing genocide. The Brazilian state has blood on its hands, as do the extractive corporations destroying Amazonia, while the real criminals sit in plush offices, profiting from ecocide, obliterating the natural world we depend on. Those who resist their atrocities are killed or thrown in jail.
I'm rebelling in love for this world and the wild, in compassion for the indigenous, local and First Nations peoples who are persecuted, protecting the ecosystems we all need to survive. In rage for the environmental defenders murdered every week, my siblings in the fight for life.
Beyond a carefully prepared statement, I answered no comment to most questions in the police interview, but I did look the detective in the eye and tell him one thing.
I'd quite like a future. Right now, my future is on fire, and in Brazil, they're killing the firefighters.
When the forest is ablaze in a valley, sometimes all it takes is a few extra snowflakes on the mountainside to trigger an avalanche that will put the fire out. Will you be one of them?
That's great, because right now Iggy was part of the HS2 defending the greatest deforestation we've seen since the Second World War in this country. It's deforestation, trashing the natural world isn't something that only happens in the Amazon. It's happening right here, right now. The government has just given the go-ahead to HS2, and we can stop it if we take a stand. So it's great that you're all here sharing our pain today. Our dear brother, he's still with us. And I could not live with myself if I didn't get up today and say, let's all get to HS2.
Yes!
Thank you so much for feeling this pain, for being on this rebel journey that Iggy so powerfully showed us how to do. And let's all get up to HS2, even if it's just for like an hour. We can all get there. And as soon as you get there, you'll see what's going on, and you'll have a connection, and you'll always be part of it.
Hello, I'm Kira.
Hi, Kira.
I first met Fox in 2017 on a rooftop terrace in a random hostel in Thailand, while he was telling his story of being followed by a jaguar through the jungle. In the following months, it seemed as if the universe didn't want us to meet again. We kept missing each other on our travels by just a few days, over and over again. Eventually, we saw each other in England in that autumn. He introduced me to Extinction Bay and by taking me to its first ever swarming.
What a date.
When I went back home to Berlin, I helped build up Extra Germany. I don't think that this is the right setting for me to talk about the full extent of our relationship and what he means to me, so I'm going to keep it short. He fascinated me deeply. He was one of the most ambitious and passionate people I know, on so many levels, throughout all the interests he had and things he loved. If he believed in something, he fought for it with a determination, strength and fire that was truly inspiring. He was willing to sacrifice so much, and he acted selflessly for the sake of the planet. I think that one of his biggest strengths was inspiring and convincing people. He was a really good and moving speaker. People would want to listen to what he had to say. He radiated a sense of stability, confidence and initiative. I feel like sometimes he wasn't aware of the effect he had on other people and of the power that lay behind that. And then there was also a really gentle and soft side to him that shouldn't be forgotten. I grew so much through him. He encouraged me to be authentic, to not hold back, to open up. I'm forever grateful for everything we shared. His biggest fear was to die without having given his life meaning. And I really hope that he can see how much meaning his life had, that he matters and how many people love him. We called when he was in Johannesburg right before he went on the bus to go to the training. He said, "Okay, Wood Nymph, I'm off to play with the unicorns." Well, I don't know where you are now, but I hope it's beautiful and has got tons of vegan flapjacks, cherries, has the most amazing parkour spots and trees to string up your hammock, and that you get to connect with all kinds of animals and dance to drum and bonobo all day long. Catch you later, love.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you. We can't bide here much longer, and I thought there's time enough for just one poem. So here we go. We have come to be danced. Not the pretty dance, not the pretty, pick me dance, but the claw our way back into the belly of the sacred, sensual animal dance. The unhinged, unplugged cat is out of its box dance. The holding the precious moment in the palms of our hands and feet danced. We have come to be danced, not the jiffy booby, shake your booty for him dance, but the wring the sadness from our skin dance, the blow the chip off our shoulder dance, the slap the apology from our posture dance. We have come to be danced, not the monkey see, monkey do dance, 1, 2, 1, 2 dance like you, 1, 2, 3 dance like me dance, but the grave robber, tomb stalker, tearing scabs and scars open dance, the rhythm roar against our soul dance. We have come to be danced, not the nice, invisible, self-conscious shuffle, but the matted hair flying voodoo mama shaman shaking ancient bones dance. The strip us from the casings, return our wings, sharpen our claws and tongue dance. The dead shed skin cells and slip into the luminous skin of love dance. We have come to be danced. Not the hold our breath and wallow in the shallow end of the floor dance, but the meeting of the trinity, the body, breath and beat dance. The shout hallelujah from the top of our thighs dance. The mother may I, yes you may, take 10 giant leaps dance. The olly oxen free, free, free dance. The everyone can come to our heaven dance. We have come to be danced, where the kingdoms collide in the cathedral of flesh, to burn back into the light, to unravel, to play, to fly, to pray, to root in skin sanctuary. We have come to be danced. We have come. Thank you, Iggy. Iggy, Iggy, Iggy! Iggy, Iggy, Iggy! 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 Iggy, Iggy, Iggy! Even as nights end, our grief will last, and sometimes it's only by losing light in our lives that we see how luminous life is and becomes. All of us, each of us, with air in our lungs, needs to take this away and move it on to the people who aren't here. This is how we remember, this is how we mourn, this is how we live. And this, in each breath, is how we rebel against a system that is destroying a planet. Thank you, thank you, thank you.